Hello everyone and welcome back or welcome to my channel. So for today's video I'm going to be talking about the poor aesthetic, and this video is inspired by another video on YouTube called Rich People Are Pretending to Be Poor for the Aesthetic by CC Marie. And to start things off, I am going to start off with an example that she brought up in her video, which is the Kim K photo shoot that was basically emulating the poor aesthetic. And the main issue with doing this is that it devolves the term from its real meaning and from the issues that are associated with it. And how it affects people, it completely removes that. Instead, it romanticizes this thing that actually is pretty bad for many people around the world. When researching for this topic, I found an article about the queer poor aesthetic. So before I continue on, what the queer poor aesthetic means is people who act poor for the aesthetic within the queer community. What this is referring to is getting free food through public programs or dumpster diving, wearing distressed clothing, thrifting, free box, or just stealing stuff, even though it is not a necessity. And the issue with that is that it prevents them from actually coming to terms with their own privilege. The author talks about how checking your class privilege once is like saying I'm a white male, I have privilege, and stopping there. We need to have an ongoing, honest conversation and not abuse the ways in which we self-identify for our own benefit. That type of way of presenting yourself causes issues when trying to come to terms with your own privilege and actually addressing issues within social issues, all the type of stuff. I'm also going to read the conclusion. It says, if we are participating in this movement to destroy and bring visibility to all forms of oppression, we have to stop glamorizing the queers who are highest on the food chain and listen to and empower those who are most marginalized. Within this article, it also goes on to talk about how the use of the poor aesthetic takes away from people who are actually poor. Another example is the idea of slum touring. People who basically go to different neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods, just to see how they live. And in most cases, they take pictures with them and stuff like that. With slum tourism, some people may argue that, like, hey, you're putting money into this poor neighborhood. I know that meanwhile. How much money is actually going to the people compared to how much money is going to the organization. Other people argue that it's a tour, it's a form of entertainment or attraction in a way. From its garden. Another word for slum touring or this type of topic is called poverty porn, and here it says that poverty porn, defined as the exploitation of the poor to gain sympathy or donation money. The people who are going there are only doing it for show. Many celebrities have been actually caught doing that. For example, Ed Sheeran, Ellen DeGeneres, and there's someone else that I was gonna say. Julia Roberts. There it is. One of the issues with slum touring or poverty porn is that it is used as a publicity tactic, and it is also something that kind of degrades other people. So another thing I'm going to be talking about is within this article, and it's basically called The Aesthetics of Decay, the dangers of fetishizing full poverty while hiding real poverty. So with this article, it's basically talking about how people fetishize or romanticize the decay of urban cities. It is also related to gentrification in a sense. So right now when editing, I'm noticing that I didn't really explain how urban decay is related to gentrification, but a quick and dirty way of basically explaining this is that urban decay is like a form of evidence of disinvestment, and many scholars have agreed that disinvestment is one of the causes of gentrification. But yeah, hopefully I can explain it better in another video. If trends change and people start liking, for example, urban decay, then people will want to go and move into those places, and they may end up displacing people. Also, the article talks about hipster economics and talks about how this is seen in gentrification of neighborhoods. And it is talking about how, for example, in Brooklyn, they go and look for the most authentic neighborhoods. And there's certain people who want to keep the authenticity of a neighborhood. And the thing to kind of put into consideration is that who decides what's authentic, and those people want to maintain the authenticity of that neighborhood, trying to keep away from, actually gentrifying that neighborhood, but to a certain extent, it is going to be inevitable. The article also talks about how clothing, Instagram filters kind of emulate this type of aesthetic as well. There's also the thing with like thrifting, right? How people will go and buy at thrift stores, when they do have money. And I'm not saying that you're a bad person just because you go thrifting. That's not what I'm trying to say. So yeah, basically you have those type of things that were considered to be for poor people or part of poverty that are becoming trendy, that are becoming more mainstream. And it can have negative consequences, like Tiffany Ferguson explained, that it might affect poor people in the sense that prices might go up, or they might not get good clothing because people keep on taking them away. In this article, the author talks about how gentrification of thrifting is a very complicated topic, but she also goes on to talk about certain ways that people can thrift in a more conscious way. You don't want it to begin. So another thing that I want to talk about is how certain brands create clothing that is like ripped or that emulate the poor aesthetic. The ripped jeans, those type of things, or shoes that seem to be worn, yet they cost like $500. So this article shows how the materials that are used are still expensive. And the reason why these people wear these clothing is not because they have to, but rather because they want to. At the end of the day, it is more of a matter of inequality rather than an issue with its design. So my camera did not last. It is dead now. But to end this, I am going to say that the poor aesthetic, it is something that needs to be taken into consideration. When you romanticize something, it completely strips away the actual issues that are associated with that term. Poverty is something that affects many people. It is something that is very real, and the romanticization and beautification of this term kind of takes that away. Anyways, this is the end of the video. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell if you like this video. Anyways, stay safe, y'all. Bye.